welcome, Eduardo. You're based in Madrid, is that right?
Yep, that's it.
Excellent, thank you. Well, welcome, Madrid. I'm based in Thunder Bay in Ontario, Canada. So, nice to meet you.
Okay.
You guys are in the center of a lot of stuff going on at the moment with
Exactly.
COVID-19.
With Italy, we are the epicenter, as you
You're,
know. Yeah.
you're one of the epicenters. So tell me,
Yep.
what are you seeing in the industry as a result of COVID-19, and how is it changing the industry?
Yeah. Okay. I also have the advantage of seeing not only the reactions and the needs from our customers here in Spain. I was telling Natalia, I just finished a conference call. We are having daily conference calls to deal with this. Okay, so I was just sharing information and experiences with friends with colleagues from all over the world. I would say, as a very quick summary, that obviously we're seeing it back to basics. Okay, so business as usual has stopped a lot. People are very much focused on boosting up the capacities on their contact centers. And obviously the obvious one, which is the remote agents. Okay, so we have loads of requests for that, and well, basically we're focusing on providing all kinds of just basically listening to our customers and trying to see what's the best option for each of them. Either just helping them out or with solutions from our own side or this kind of thing. So it's basically the whole remote agent thing, the boosting the infrastructure, and something which is a little bit less obvious is how this is becoming, to see things, to get some positive outcome out of this, is that people are also looking at smarter ways of doing things. So for example, we're seeing a lot of demand for self-service stuff.
Okay.
Obviously.
Yep.
Okay, so because obviously it's not just boosting up your infrastructure. It's not easy. Technology and infrastructure is relatively easy, but hiring people, hundreds of people in some cases from one day to the next, it's not that easy. And so people are putting a lot of focus on self-service, mainly telephony. Obviously, I mean, contingency systems are most of the requests we're having is for telephony, but for those customers which were already heavy on digital, also like chatbots and stuff like that for digital channels. Mm-hmm.
And so this has had a massive effect on the industry that we work in, which is contact centers,
Yep.
and forcing everybody to pretty much around the world to work from home. What technology is out there that will help somebody make that transition if they've got an on-premise solution and they're now being forced to put everybody at home? What sort of solutions should they be looking at out there in terms of functionality and usability, etc.?
Exactly. Well, the ideal situation would be to try to go for purely internet-based solutions.
Mm-hmm.
So basically have your agents using web interfaces, having audio on this new technology. Well, it's not so new, but it's still upcoming, which is WebRTC,
Mm-hmm.
which again allows you to have the whole application and audio all coming out of a browser, okay? And completely secure, because WebRTC has also the advantage of being is secure, let's say, by design. Okay, you cannot have, let's say, just as with web pages, it's less and less the case, but just with web pages, websites, you can still have websites which are not secure, which are not encrypted. With WebRTC, that's not an option. Okay, so WebRTC is encrypted per se. Okay, so that means that don't only have a fully web desktop for an agent, both on the audio side and on the application side. It's also secure by default. So I would say that's the ideal situation, okay, and the one that most of our customers are obviously trying to go to, okay.
Yep.
So because that basically gives you the security, gives you the ease of having basically an agent just logging on to a web page and using, because obviously you also have to think about the infrastructure on the agent side. I mean, even if you solve the issues on how to connect to the contact center side, etc. You also have to think about the the infrastructure they have at home, and with WebRTC and web applications, that would put the minimum requirements on the agent side.
Okay, excellent.
So that would be the ideal situation, but obviously we are a company that has both cloud customers and on-prem, okay? And obviously when you go into the on-prem world, and well, they have multiple different configurations, and then you have to look for other options. And VPN is for sure a very common, very popular option out there. So for customers that mainly, especially mid-sized and enterprise customers that have powerful network infrastructures and teams, you also have the VPN. So the solution we've all been using for remote working, more on the application side, right? To be able to take work home. Well, nowadays we are leveraging that infrastructure also for the voice. So that also allows you to take agents home. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
It's less secure. It has other issues. It's not perfect, let's say. It's not as ideal as the WebRTC option, but it's as I say, for people, those companies that have a powerful network infrastructure, it's an easy option to take.
And how quickly is it? How quickly can somebody go from an on-premise solution? Now they're being told they've got to work from home. How quickly can they set up realistically a work from home agent?
You mean in any of these cases? So not just take solutions, but
just if you just say you've got a traditional contact center, maybe you've got an on-premise solution. It could be with any organization, any supplier. You're now forced to go to work from home agents. How quickly can technologies be deployed?
As I say, in some cases is actually automatic because they already have that infrastructure in place. So maybe they haven't tested it so much with agents, because agents tend to be more stuck to the premises, but they have been using it for back office users, and it's just a matter of testing for a few hours, and then you can really do it very quickly. Okay. If you have the WebRTC in place, because basically WebRTC has started to be deployed already for some time, well, you don't even need the VPN side of things. You're ready for that.
Yeah, and the question I'd like to ask you guys, because you deploy solutions all around the world, have you seen a big shift over the past few years anyway to going for cloud-based, or maybe a combination of cloud and on-premise, like a hybrid solution, or have companies traditionally up until recently still been sticking with on-premise?
Okay, as you say, that's very much tied up with culture, isn't it? So yeah, both I would say, because now it's very interesting that you ask. We've seen both in cloud and also in this move towards self-service, like in chatbots and so on. We've seen very different trends depending on the regions and the cultures. So obviously for places like the UK and the US, where remote working is very common, we've seen a huge uptake in cloud solutions. In other countries, the trend is clear towards those solutions, but not so fast as in those cases, for example.
Right. But that's all changing now anyway, as everybody's now scrambling for solutions. So
that's obviously going to change very quickly. Yeah.
So what about the future then? Do you foresee that when we're past coronavirus, COVID-19, whatever you want to call it, when we're past this pandemic, do you see that some of those organizations who've been forced to go to a work from home approach are going to go back to their centralized contact centers, or do you see that maybe most of them will stay work from home, or do you see like a hybrid where some might opt for some of the work from home, some centralized? What's your thoughts?
I think it's just basically going to push make the the push for cloud contact center much bigger. So obviously the uptake is going to be much faster. But obviously there remains some of the stoppers, let's say, mainly in large organizations. We deal also with lots of banks. Banks are probably one of the slower companies to go towards cloud because of security and so on. And there you're probably going to see hybrid setups, okay?
Right.
I believe for sure every single company is going to test the cloud at least for these contingency kind of situations, okay? So for sure I would say that if there was people, just thinking about on-prem, that's gone, okay? So at least for contingency, even the large guys are going to go there. And for all the rest is for sure going to push forward and to accelerate the projects they already had in place.
Interesting. And from your experience as well, are there any good news stories that you can share about how companies have adapted to the ever-changing world that we're living in, especially in the past few weeks?
Yeah, as I said, there's the obvious challenges of infrastructure and remote, and technology for remote work, but there's also that compelling event, to take out of the drawer very interesting projects in self-service, in using, for example, digital channels as a fallback or as a complement to voice, okay? That we are seeing, some of our customers pushing forward, okay, and doing it in a much better way. So I guess the whole omni-channel concept is also going to gain a little bit out of this situation.
Yeah, interesting. And finally, any tips that you would share with contact center leaders who are looking for some other ideas on how to deal with the current situation? Any other additional ideas that maybe you haven't already covered?
Yeah, I would say, and that's been something which, a mindset that has been pretty much, we pretty much adopted over the last few days or weeks here, is that we all have to go into contingency, okay? So we have to assume that, more sophisticated projects are probably going to be stalled, are in fact being stalled. And we really have to be fully, in the same crisis situation as our customers, okay? So we have daily crisis meetings, to discuss all their needs and to be as close to them as possible. We also have a very large install base within BPOs, okay? So those are, as you know, the guys who provide the service to end customers such as banks and so on. Yeah. And those guys have huge operations, many times covering multiple regions, and they really need our help in these times. So we are really spending a huge amount of our time, helping them, and being there.
Excellent.
Because it's tough times. It's really tough times for them.
Okay, excellent. And I guess for the foreseeable future, you're working from home. How are you deploying these solutions then? If somebody wants a solution.
Well, obviously, coming back to you mean if someone just wants a remote solution,
someone contacts you out of the blue.
Straight away.
Yeah, someone contacts you out of the blue. They're not a customer, and they say, "Hey, can you help us with a solution?"
Yeah.
How do you deploy it?
Cloud is the obvious choice. Okay.
So you're doing all your training and everything on over the internet nowadays.
Everything, and again, I think it's also helping us push many things forward. Everything is e-learning. Agents can just get their onboarding through e-learning. Okay, they get not only trained on the tools, they get trained on best practices too. Everything becomes e-learning, remote, cloud, all those technologies.
Yeah, it's interesting times, my friend. Very interesting times.
Yep, it is.
I want to say thank you. Sorry?
Yeah. I just wanted to add, because since you were asking about positive news, which I believe it's really interesting, right? And to get out the positive stuff, not only not only all the tough situations we're going through. We're also seeing an uptake in another let's say process people are spending time on is this extended workforce, which again is like a buzzword we've all been talking about in the contact center world. So I'll give you an example of actually a real customer of us that provides health services.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, they've always been interested in involving nurses, doctors, and so on in these kind of services, but never got to that. And within the last week, they've actually done it. Okay, so also, we were talking about self-service, also extended workforce. So to get other parts of the company, expert, let's say, agents or back office agents involved in the whole process. That's also an interesting, an interesting study, a case study that we have of these guys doing it, and several others asking for it.
Yeah, there's certainly no shortage of good news stories out there in terms of how organisations are adapting and how we're actually deploying our resources differently. And there's some good opportunities coming out of this. I think when the dust settles and clears and we start looking at what we've learned from this, I think it will show that there's a lot more opportunities out there compared to just what we've been used to doing for the past 20 odd years in this industry.
Yeah, for sure.
So
honestly, technology, it's surely going to be good in the mid-long term, isn't it?
Yeah, we just need to get over this hump and then move forward. And I want to wish you and your colleagues and your family and friends that you all stay well and stay healthy.
Same here.
And thank you very much for your time. And we'll be in touch with you. Thank you for sparing your time today. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.